Hello everyone, this is Gorax and welcome to the second part of the balance changes file compiled by basically Gamerman, one of the Discord users. So if you have not read his basically forum post yet, go to the official Discord and see what there is. Today we're gonna cover the changes to the fire heroes. In previous video we covered changes to all the lightning heroes. Now remember, these nerfs or buffs do not mention any changes to the talent tree that will be available in the Chinese version of the game. As we know, all the heroes, I think most of the heroes, probably all of them, will get talent trees available to them as well, which means what we see here might be caused by giving them powerful talents. So let's dive in straight into the fire heroes today. There will be few significant changes, especially to the wild heroes. Wild has been reworked from being a percentage change to a d6 dice roll. Wild dice rolls give 5% damage increase per dice. Example, wild skills rolling 4 will get 20% damage. All damaging wild abilities now get a dice roll, wild tag. Non-damaging abilities don't. Example, Alfie's ult and Foley's battle skill. Wild heroes were my favorite in Season 1, they were very powerful. I didn't have Flora and I was still doing solid. I was not top in the Temporal Vortex due to missing on Flora or any of the Dauntless heroes as well. I utilize heroes like Tonalnen, Felicity, and Eric that we get for free, right? And those heroes are really good. From what I heard, the wild heroes are probably the top contenders for the top spots in the Temporal Vortex in the new Season 1. And if you keep rolling 6 dice roll, you'll be constantly dealing 30% damage on these skills. So let's have a look at the wild legendary heroes changes. So Eric, passive fully reworked, because now we're rolling this dice instead of having a percentage chance, right? Now changes all white dice roll into a d8 dice roll. So 8-sided die, which means our damage can go from 30% if we got the max roll to 40% max roll, which is amazing. And he will be, I think, mandatory hero in any wild formation. And this is why we hopefully still get him for free through the journey, the story. Ultimate meteors now deal a 10% more attack when dice roll is higher or equal to 5, increase the damage to 200, right? So what that means is if we roll more than 5, we will increase the damage by an additional 40% plus the damage increase through the rolls as well. So he will be doing way more damage, and he will allow other heroes to do more damage, which makes him an enabler and rather mandatory hero, because remember, he can use Witch's Remain as well. Now, Flora is the exclusive hero. Obviously, Flora with the exclusive artifact is just a powerhouse. Without it, she deals way less damage. However, she's still doing more damage than any other hero. Now, Flora uses a special 10-sided die on her skills. That's amazing. Now, there might be a bug where this overtakes this. There might be a bug. Eventually, apparently someone found a bug with Flora. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, if we replace this with this will be bad. But hopefully not. Hopefully this does not happen, but she uses a special 10-sided die, which means she can increase the damage of her skills up to 50%, which is huge. Her passive has been reworked. When allies roll a 5 or more, the dragon will deal 25% attack directed damage, and Flora gains 1 permanent stack of enlightenment buff, 2% per stack, up to 30 stacks. She can get 60% increase enlightenment permanently during the fight as long as her allies roll 5 or more. Now, remember when we were reading the changes to gameplay and combat especially? Let's have a quick look at it. So wild depending on how many heroes you have, you will be having these bonds. So during the burst, all ally wild dice rolls will be always +2. So you only need to get 3 to get 5, right? Or when you get 3, and you usually have 3 heroes of wild, frost, etc., ally wild dice rolls are guaranteed to be the max value. So this means we will trigger Flora's passive pretty much constantly as long as we have 3 heroes in the formation during the burst, which makes Flora a really, really powerful hero, and that's just coming from her passive, right? Battle skill damage changed from 200 to 100, and the damage dealt is now derivative. Okay, so that's important, right? So it looks like a nerf to the damage, however, that damage is now derivative. So that means when we get access to the equipment that boosts derivative damage, this battle skill is going to do more. So the alignment set makes more sense in this case. Added effect when her passive is fully stacked, so once we get 30 stacks, right? Battle skill dice rolls will always roll maximum. So it will be 100% derivative damage boosted by another 50% through her passive, which will be 150. Well, it will be more than that if we do the math correctly, because other things will be taken into consideration. But yeah, it looks really good, okay? Although it looks like it's a damage reduction, I think in theory this will do more damage. Ultimate, Whirlpool damage is now delayed till the end of its duration. Okay, so instead of ticking constantly, we will basically like gather the damage in a bubble and then explode. Damage down from 170 to 125 derivative per trigger. Okay, it makes sense since she will be doing, I believe, extra damage through that. But after 16 triggers, it will deal additional 900 derivative damage. Okay, so if we manage to trigger it 16 times, this will deal a burst of damage. That's what we're doing here. We're doing a burst of damage after that. If you have Flora in the Chinese version, please let me know how it looks. Can we still see, or we never actually could see that, the split of damage between the ultimate battle skill and auto attacks? This is something I always wanted to see in this game, and I would love to see how much damage this does compared to her passive, for example. Now, Felicity has been removed from what I heard from the Starlight Dice Summon, so she's harder to get now. Her passive energy gain on critical has been reduced significantly, so I believe this will mean we will not be able to upkeep constant rotation of witch's remain, for example. Basically, the ultimate will need to either increase her attack speed to proc this more often or something, because it's like, you know, it's 2% only, but 2% out of 5 is quite huge. It's less than 50% nerf, but it's still significant. Battle skill damage down when dice roll 4+ skill will recast up to 3 times. Okay, so while it's down, we have a chance to cast it 3 times when we score a roll of 4+. Ultimate reworked, fire 5 lasers, each dealing 150% attack, which then means it's like 750% attack skill. Applying defense down debuff already without witch's remains. Wow, okay. 2% per laser up to 16%. So we can shoot 5 lasers. Basically, it's 10%, the basic one. But on a wild roll that is higher or equal to 5, she will fire 3 additional lasers, which means she will fire 8 lasers in total if we are in the burst mode with 3 wild heroes. So 8 times 150, that is 1200 attack, which is a huge damage coming from it, and also a 16% defense down debuff. Now, does that defense down debuff stack with witch's remain? Can we have 2 of them? Usually we can't, right? But this might be a different debuff, and that that could mean that when we put Felicity with Witch's Remain plus this, we'll have a huge defense down. But obviously, if you play Chinese version of the game, you might have tried it. So please let me know in the comment section if that's true. Rash is trash. That's what we came up with currently in global. He's not excelling at anything, really. So let's see if the changes done to him will make sense. Passive, gain and stack of Heart Flame for 6 seconds when ally rolls 5 or more. So this means when allies roll 5 or more, we can basically stack this passive. And ultimate now targets enemy with lowest HP. His ultimate is a huge burst. It is good in arena, I would say. With this change, you can always finish off an enemy, because that's how it deals. Usually now you just spam it on the tank, because that's the target he's targeting. But now it will target enemy with lowest HP, so Rash plus an epic wild hero can really finish the backline. If they simultaneously cast their ultimates, they can really assassinate the backline. So this hero is becoming more PvP oriented now, because these changes will not help him to outperform Felicity, Flora, Eric, or even Tonalnen in PvE. He's still not there. Now Casper is an interesting hero. We thought that Casper is like a tiny version of Flora. However, he was never able to do enough damage to prove it. Even Flora without the exclusive artifact was out-damaging Casper. So if you're a Casper player, let me know how you rate these changes that I'm gonna go over now. So his passive, when allies roll an even number, he gains 1 stack of Absurd Charade for 60 seconds. 60 seconds, that's a lot. Absurd Charade now increases damage by 10% with maximum of 20 stacks. Wow. So his damage increase can be by 200% for 60 seconds as long as you keep stacking the Absurd Charade, which only happens when a hero rolls an even number. But 200%, that is huge. That's damage increase, not attack. Battle skill change from 5 daggers per 75% attack to 3 daggers at 100%. So 300 against more than 350. So a nerf, basically, also less daggers coming out. His ultimate base damage lowered by 100% attack and marks enemy for 10 seconds down from 15. That's quite big nerf here. But when allies roll 4 or plus, launch a dagger dealing 20% to 120% to the marked enemy. So yeah, that is significant damage increase when the allies roll the dice correctly, right? This is huge. This is big, right? So the damage that got nerfed here is basically compensated. I would even say buffed in here. However, that window where we could basically keep it on constantly is now removed, okay? So that's a significant change, basically making him more bursty than overall damage, graduate damage, basically. Now, wild epics are really powerful, and I believe most of them are being used, except for Karaman, who is mostly the PvP hero. So let's have a look here at Alfie, who is a really good buffer and enabler. His passive now will grant allies 20% attack buff for 10 seconds when they roll +5 on the dice. But my question here is, the way it's worded, does he gain the 20% attack buff or the ally that rolls the dice? The other issue is it doesn't stack permanently. Okay. Now, battle skill fires 3 fireballs at the target, each dealing 200 damage, but no longer ignores the defense. That's bad. Okay. This is good. This is good to have. His ultimate, Magic Nexus, now gives 70% chance to increase dice rolls of allies by +1. I believe Alfie's value has been reduced significantly, unless this can be boosted by talents. Because if we're running 3 wild heroes already during the burst, we have guaranteed maximum rolls, making this useless. If we're not running, then yeah, okay, this might be worth it. But other than that, I don't think Alfie will be as much used as he is currently, especially in the 4 wild hero formation. Now, Folly, passive, when allies roll 5+, she stores 1 fireball that will be fired with the next auto attack, dealing 100% attack. And her ultimate will be the same skill, but now requires 4+ roll instead of successful wild check. Karaman has barely any use in PvE unless you want to assassinate enemies in trials or PvP. Now his passive will be the only thing that change, and instead of successful wild check, it will now proc on D4+. Okay, so D4+ is like their baseline. This is what they call successful. And Tonalnen, obviously one of the strongest epic heroes when it comes to damage, now will require D5 rolls by allies instead of successful wild check. So it will be a little bit harder for her to stack the passive, because instead of D4, it's required D5, especially early on, right? But then it will be, eventually you will stack it up. So that's it. That's basically the epics. Now we move to the rares. Neda, add +1 to her dice roll instead of having 50% wild successful chance. Pia, when allies roll D4+, recharges ultimate by 3%. So once again, they nerfing this, so we won't be able to constantly apply it. However, they removed the trigger limit of 5 seconds, so it will be a little bit easier, I would say, to get this, especially in the burst formation, right? Once we hit the burst. And Browen, passive, requires allies D4 rolls and same skill. And I really like these changes, because with previous wild, it wasn't like really good explain what it does, what's the chance, etc. Now we know we roll the dice, and depending on the number, the higher the damage of our heroes. But that was just wild heroes, okay? Let's move on to the legendary supports, and there's no changes. Okay, right, cool. And epic supports, Horus. So obviously tanks moved to the support role. And Horus passive, the bonus shield can now trigger every 5 seconds, which is a boost. And Horus is amazing early game tank. Brody, defense up, buff duration down from 10 seconds to 6. I don't know why they would do that. Brody is not really used. There's no changes to Dane or Isolde. Sadly, Isolde will still be meh. Adolphus, my favorite shielding hero in Season 1 because I didn't have Crisis. Increase ultimate energy by from 15 to 20%. Very welcome buff. Fira removed, and Liko, no changes. When it comes to the supports, Livia, defense up, buff duration increased. Dubok, Zeddy, Glowing, and Yamra, no changes. Let me know in the comment section if you're excited about these wild changes. Do you think overall the changes to Casper and Flora will be good? Obviously, we know that Flora is doing really well. I'm not sure about Casper. And in the next video, we'll cover the changes to the Ice heroes. So make sure you subscribe to my channel, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching and stay safe. Bye.